Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar UZZAMAN Sahib Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Monday morning at Baitul Azkar in Wasiabad, Allahabad, UP, India. Monday, the 28th of Rajab, 1444, corresponding with the English date, 20th of February 2023. Hazrat Wala recites the surah of the Quran Majid, Wal Asr, Innal Insana Lafi Khusr, Illa Alladhina Amanu, Wa Amilu Salihati, Wa Tawasaw Bil Haqqi, Wa Tawasaw Bis Sabr. Hazrat Wala is saying that this is a very special surah of the Quran Majid. You know, I feel grieved also of Maulana Maqsood Sahib that he never ever misses a majlis. However, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him complete shifa. So here in this particular surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Wal Asr, I swear by the time, Innal insana lafi khusr, man is in the state of loss indeed. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر, except for those who believed and did righteous deeds and advised each other for truth and advised each other for patience. Now, Iman, إلا الذين آمنوا, except those who believed. Iman is something great. It is a priceless treasure. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma a'tini imanan la yartaddu. O Allah, bestow me with such iman after which there is no apostasy. So when a person carries out iman, brings iman through iman and amal salih, then he will become a kamil, right? However, for him to be perfect in the sense of others, he needs to do tawasi bil haqq and tawasi bil sabr, advise each other with the truth and advise each other with patience. Hazrat Wala is saying, on one occasion, in the initial stages, when I started going to Gujarat, I went to Baroda. There was a jalsa and people came in huge droves. And at that time, I'm thinking that what will I speak? And what will I going to say? Nothing was coming to my mind. In fact, I even started and I spoke for a few minutes and then nothing. And then I thought about the surah of the Quran Majid, Wal Asr, because that's not my talk and that's not my article. It is the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then when I spoke about that, then I continued speaking. So when we speak about Iman, what is Iman? Tasdeequ bima ja'a bihi an-nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam qat'an, to accept, verify and what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam brought, most definitely, to believe in that firmly. And what did Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam bring? وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Did Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam not bring good character for us? Allahu Akbar. Today we can see it, the type of carelessness in character, and there is no adab and there is no respect. We are involved in this commonly and by and large generally. Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia Sahib went to Calcutta and many people were killed. And at that time, he made this remark that फिर भी मुसलमान नहीं देखते हैं कि किस चीज से, from where, by means of what caused this type of fall for us. किस चीज से ठोकर लगी? How did we trip and how did we fall? They're not looking at that. Even now, they've got their heads down, but they're not pondering and thinking about this. And let me tell you about Maulana Abdul Majid, when he went to Bangladesh and he looked at what had taken place at that time there, where thousands of lives were lost. At that time, what was his remark? He says, even now, Abbi, fazl ka mamla hai, adal ka nahi. That it is still the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is not that of justice. Because if Allah ta'ala had to mete out justice, then who would have been spared? Who would have been spared? Because according to the just nature of Allah and what we are doing, we deserve to be destroyed. So, we are speaking about Surah Asr, and this is a very important surah of the Quran Majid. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala convey this message through the entire world. I went to the jungles in Africa and I saw Quran Majid there as well. Allah ta'ala pure dunya mein usko suna de. Allah ta'ala let this resound and echo throughout the entire world. The mother thinks, we're saying, Wal Asr, I swear by time. The mother thinks, my son is growing up. However, she doesn't think for a moment that the life of my son or my daughter or my children is actually getting lesser day by day. Now, Hazrat Ubaidullah ibn Hisn radiyallahu ta'ala reports that whenever two companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam met, they would not part company until one of them had recited Surah Al-Asr in its entirety to the other. Allahu Akbar. Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi says that if people thought about Surah Asr carefully, it will be enough for their guidance. It is a concise but comprehensive surah, which in 3 verses outlines a complete way of human life based on the Islamic world view. In the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears an oath by time and says that mankind is in a state of loss, with an exception. What is the exception? Exception, however, is made of people who are characterized by 4 qualities: faith, righteous deeds, advising each other for truth, and advising each other for patience. This is the only path to salvation in this world as well as in the next world. The Quranic prescription comprises, as we have just seen, of 4 elements. The first 2 of them relate to man's own personal betterment, and the other 2 relate to other people's guidance and reform. Other people's guidance and reform. So, we need to do these actions. And you can only do these actions by means of tawfiq. Allahumma inni as'aluka tawfiqa li mahabbika min al-a'mal. Oh Allah, I ask you for inspiration to carry out those a'mal which are most beloved to you. Allahu Akbar. Now, Hazrat Hakim Ifhamullah, who was my well-wisher, Hazrat Wala is saying, and Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab was very fond of him, unko mante the. And at the demise of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, he was really touched deeply, due to which he cried profusely. And at that time people said, okay, now make sabr, you're crying like this. And he said that at that time, why should I not cry? Who will teach me a dua like this? And at that time, what was the dua that he mentioned? Allahumma inni as'aluka tawfiqa li mahabbika min al-a'mal wa sidqa tawakkuli alayk wa husna az-zanni bik. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making such du'as. Now, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, when I was a very young boy, at that time he came to our place and I seen him making sajda. But he carried out sajda with such a type of humbleness and with such a cry from his heart and his throat, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, that I said to myself that such a great buzruk is so humble and crying in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like this. Matlab, I'm actually trying to tell you, from such a tender and young age, I seen Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab very, very closely. Rather, my father used to bring us from a great distance, and we had to even in that time cross a stream, a river, and it was actually dangerous, where we were vulnerable and there was great possibility of us even drowning. But then he had that in his mind that he is taking us and for himself also to see Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab. How is it that Aya, Kaya, Piya, Gaya? What is this? We came, we ate, we drank, we went. Ye to janwaro ki zindagi. Even animals do this here. You know, this is a kitab I'm reading. Tafsir of the Quran Majid. You know, some time ago, there was a risala that was coming out from Mo, and a person made a remark. It was just going for 15 rupees, and he said, "Ek aur bar gaya." That they increased one more. Negatively or sarcastically, he made this remark that it's now one more magazine. But it was this leaflet teaching people about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People, when maktabs are established, they don't understand it, they make bad remarks, etc. But Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to hit the nail on the head when it came to things like this, and people made such type of remarks, etc. I mean, you're in your own home and you're making a hole, or you're damaging this very own house of yours. How is it? You are in this deen and you're damaging this very Islam of yours. Sayyid Rashid Raza, when he came to India, and thereafter he wrote in detail about his impressions of the place, Deoband, Lucknow, etc. Hazrat Maulana Yunus Jaunpuri, he came on one occasion and he seen some risala of a few pages just lying on the desk, and he said, "What's this?" And he said, "No, it's just this simple, you know, it's ordinary, it's just that." Due to which he expressed his disgust, meaning that, well, what are you saying there? He expressed his anger, he expressed his displeasure. That what do you mean that? It's greatly possible that there's an important mazmoon or an article there for us in it. Now the people, good people, but the aqaid is not right. The iman ko durust karo. Make your iman right. Make your aqaid right. Now what is the relationship between wal asr and innal insana lafi khusr, between time and human loss? The first point we need to analyze here is the relationship between the oath of time and its subject, because there needs to be a relationship between an oath and its subject. Now the commentators, the Mufassirin, generally state that all conditions of man, his growth, development, his movements, his actions, his morality, all take place within the space of time. Man will lose the capital of his existence. Hours, days, months, and years of life pass quickly. Spiritual and material potentialities decline and abilities fade. Man is like a person who possesses great capital, and without his permission and will, every day a portion of that capital is taken away. Man, just listen to that again. Man is like a person who possesses a great capital, and without his permission and his will, every day a portion of that capital is taken away. This is the nature of life of this world, the nature of the continual loss. How well this has been put by a poet. حياتك أنفاس تعد فكلما مضى نفس منها انتقدت به جزءا. Allahu Akbar. Your life comprises a few breaths that can be counted. When one of them is sent out, a part of your life has diminished. Just listen to that again. حياتك أنفاس تعد فكلما مضى نفس منها انتقدت بها جزءا. Your life comprises of a few breaths that can be counted. When one of them is sent out, you exhale. A part of your life has diminished. Allah Ta'ala has granted man the invaluable capital of his life so that he may invest it in profitable business venture. If he invests his capital of life sensibly in good works, there will be no limit to the profitable returns. But if he invests it unwisely in evil works, then, let alone attracting profitable returns, he will even lose its capital. He will even lose its capital, and in addition, he will incur dreadful scourge of committing numerous sins. If, however, a person did not invest his life in capital he did not invest his life capital in good deeds or in evil deeds, then he at least loses both the profit as well as the capital. This is not merely a poetic imagery, but it is supported by the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, according to which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said, "Kullun yaghdu faba'i'un nafsahu famu'tiquha O mubiquha." When a person wakes up in the morning, just listen to that again. When a person wakes up in the morning, he invests his soul or life in a business enterprise. Some of the investors free or save the capital from loss, and others destroy it. The Quran itself uses the word tijara in relation to faith and righteous deeds. Allah Ta'ala thus says, "Hal adullukum ala tijaratin tunjikum min adhabin alim." Shall I tell you about a trade that saves you from a painful punishment? Since time is man's capital of life, the man himself is a trader. Under normal circumstances, his capital is not a frozen thing that may be kept for a while and used up later when the need arises. The capital is fluid or flowing all the time, every minute and every second. The man who invests it needs to be very wise, intelligent, very wise and intelligent, so that he is able to swiftly and readily reap the profit from a flowing capital. One of the old scholars said that he learned the meaning of this verse, wal asr. He learned the meaning of this verse from an ice seller whose trade required utmost diligence. If he were neglectful for a moment, his entire capital will melt away. That is why this verse has sworn an oath by the time to indicate that it is a melting capital, and the only way to escape loss is to take every moment of his life as valuable and use it for the 4 acts mentioned in the surah. Another possible reason for swearing by time may be that the time, in the sense of history, bears testimony to the fact mentioned in the surah. If one thinks on the causes of the rise and decline of individuals and nations, he would certainly believe that it is only these 4 acts mentioned in the forthcoming verses that may ensure real success and betterment of mankind. Whoever has ever abandoned them has suffered a great loss, as is evident from numerous events recorded by history. You know, we're speaking about this wealth. رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةُ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. The Sahaba, they did not abandon wealth. They did not abandon trade. Rather, they were such men that تِجَارَةُ وَلَا بَيْعٌ, neither trade nor commerce made them negligent an dhikrillah, from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, Hazrat Wala is saying, I heard from him personally. He used to speak and quote the incident of this trader who had hundreds and thousands invested in his business there in Mina, but his heart was not negligent of Allah, not even for a moment. Allahu Akbar. So, wealth itself is not mania. Tijarat is not mania. Sahaba themselves had trade and business and wealth. Look around yourself. How many Muslims are so near and close to you? Do we even call them or encourage them towards Salat? Allahu Akbar. This surah lays down the important principle of guidance for Muslims, that inviting others to keep to the truth, to the true faith and good deeds is as much necessary as their own submission to the Holy Quran and Sunnah. This is the important principle of guidance that the Quran lays down for us in this particular surah, that Muslims, inviting Muslims to keep to the true faith and good deeds is as much necessary as their own submission to the Quran and the Sunnah. Without sincere efforts, the best of one's ability to invite others to the right path, one's own good deeds are not enough to one's salvation, especially if a person does not take care of the spiritual and moral welfare of his wife, children and family, and turns a blind eye to their unrighteous deeds. He is blocking his way to salvation, no matter how pious he himself might be. Therefore, the Quran and the Sunnah make it obligatory, fard, upon every Muslim to do his best to invite others to good deeds and warn them against the evil acts. Unfortunately, let alone the general public, many learned people are lax in this matter. This is what Mufti Shafi Sahib is writing. They think it sufficient for them to be concerned about their own moral and spiritual well-being. They are not concerned about the well-being of their family and children. Now may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to act upon this verse. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to practice on this surat, so that we may achieve perpetual peace. Didn't you just see? We were in a comfortable car and we were going, and in between, what had happened? An accident. So, in front is coming. May Allah Ta'ala make it easy for us to practice on the surah. Because here in this dunya, no matter what peace and type of luxury you have, it is not da'imi. In between, anything can happen at any time. Therefore, we should live in such a way so that we can get perpetual rahat and peace. You know, even this year that we're sitting here and we are discussing, etc., and this majlis, it is going on for years. And alhamdulillah, even now the Muslims have ta'alluq with the Quran. When I say to them tafsir of Quran, or we have this type of discussion of tafsir, etc., it brings joy and happiness to them. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.